pretty good. Excellent. At least you guys get to hear your instructor. Wait, what? You got to hear me all the time. Hey. Wait, what? What happened here? What did I do? Oh, math summary. Excellent, AJ. I'm glad. I'm glad. You're taking calc, Professor. Oh, wait, what? He's doing no meetings? What? Um, wait, what? Nah, nah, nah. That can't be right. Wait, really? No way, dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's kind of weird. Um, okay. I don't know what to tell you there. That ain't right. You're supposed to be online and you're supposed to be teaching. Not having any meetings isn't the way to be. Like, you got to meet twice a week and stuff. You're like, that's super important. Hmm. Well, I'll put it on the positive side, Captain Condor and Cat. Yeah, I'm online Tuesdays and Thursdays here at this time, and I'll be online Mondays and Wednesdays 3 times a week, 3 times in that day for statistics at my other school. But yeah, yeah, I ain't gonna abandon you guys. No. If you have a, by the way, by the way, Kat, if you got a question, buddy, feel free to ask about some calculus since I've taught that class before. So I do not mind whatsoever. It would be helpful if I got a thing going. If I got this. Yeah, just let me know, buddy. Of course. Just let me know. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Well, let me modify this stuff here. There we go. Excelente. Woohoo. All right. Good beans and rice. All right. All right. I can't come to every single stream because as I work from home, but I didn't want to miss the first one. But I'll do. Yeah, that's perfectly fine, Captain. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Again, these streams will be put on replay right after I'm done here with this, right here on Twitch, and then after 24 hours, I'll be putting it up on YouTube as well, so you can watch a replay off of that if you feel more comfortable to be on YouTube. Either way, there's more than one outlet to go ahead and find the VODs, so that way you'll be covered and ready to go. So I try and give as many ways so you can watch the replays as much as possible, so you can catch up with the material. And should you have specific questions for whatever reason, and for anybody in the class for that matter, please feel free to email me. We'll set up a time. I'll come on stream, and then we can answer any questions and any homework stuff that you may have. So I'm not going to leave you out in the dark, even if you can't work. Uh, can't come to the live streams. I know a lot of people work during that time. Even if you can't come during the live streams, I'm going to make myself available at those times where we can coordinate and be able to answer any questions that you may have. So I know math can be a bit of a bear, but you know what? That's all good. That's what I'm here to help you with. So no problem. All right. Just here to help as much as possible. That is all. It's simple. At least I think it's simple. least I hope it's simple. All right. All right, we better get started here. All right. Let's go ahead and do this here. All right. Box. Put this. Sorry. You're still trying to work things out as a streamer. All right. In any case. All right. Let's do it. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to the very first day of the semester. All right. I hope everybody is doing very well. It's wonderful to see everybody here for the very first day of this wonderful semester. It's great to be back here once again. Um, we are here for Math 097, which is technical mathematics. So, technical mathematics, again, we're going to be covering a whole lot of stuff here today. So, what we're going to be doing here today is, of course, talking about the overview for the course and a lot of little details that we'll be certainly covering here. And then we're going to get right into the first chapter here of the textbook, which is going to cover the basics of plus, minus, times, and divide. Hey, Olivera, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. That's really kind of you. Um, oh, I got 2 alert boxes. Okay. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? All right. I'm doing something with my life. I'm not even sure what it is anymore. All right, let's just remove that one. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the overview here for the course, right? And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the syllabus here, so we'll talk about it, and we'll take a look at what's going on. So let's go to the nice transit. Look at that transition, bam! Woohoo! Look at that fancy work. Oh man, like I did no work at all. Okay. So let's overview the syllabus here. All right. So, first and foremost here, we're going to be meeting from January 19th, that's being today, to March 14th is the last day. Remember, this is an 8-week course. So a lot of things that we're going to be doing here in class is going to be pretty condensed, okay? Because of that fact, of course, that the times here are kind of extended out. So we're meeting from 10 o'clock to 12:45. Now, we may or may not go the full time here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We may or may not go the full time here out to 12:45. It just depends on how much, how fast we get through the material and whatnot. All right. We meet here on the Twitch channel. Okay, so that's perfectly fine. All right. And the online expectations is my math lab. All right, so we're going to talk about my math lab here in a little bit of detail later on. So we'll get down to it once we get there. All right, and if you should need to withdraw, and I hope you don't withdraw, then there's going to be 2 dates that you see there. Drop with a 100% refund will be January 25th, and the last day to withdraw here from the class is March the 1st. Okay. All right. What's my name? That's my name. It's a name. Yeah. All right. There's my phone number. Should you need to contact me for emergencies and whatnot, there's my phone number that goes directly to my cell phone. I have no problem with you contacting me on cell phone. Trying to text me in emergency situations, but I do prefer if you can contact me via email. Okay. I understand though life happens, so totally just hit me up if life happens and it's just more urgent that you need to contact me via text message. But you can contact me via email there, and if you contact me here via email, that's at amalik@harpercollege.edu. All right, and so we can set up times and appointments and whatnot through that. So we can meet after class, of course, or we can meet by appointment. Should you need to ask questions about any particular topic that we're going to be covering. So we'll be discussing that here and going over where you can, ask questions and whatnot. Anyway, preferred method of communication, as I said here before, email. There's also a discussion board on Blackboard. Um, I check that every so often, and then I try and get back to you as soon as possible, like within 24 hours of viewing it. It's probably just, in all honesty, probably just easier to contact me via email. I probably respond to that faster since I check that every day. So that's perfectly fine. All right. Now let's talk about what this course is going to entail. This is technical mathematics. This is kind of like mathematics for the trades. Now, one of the things about this course is that we're going to cover everything from basic arithmetic, which is what we're going to be talking about here today, all the way through trigonometry. However, one of the things to understand is that we're not covering all those topics in between in very much detail. It's just like we're taking it and we're kind of skimming the surface, okay? We're just skimming the surface of that. And most of the time here in this course, we're going to be focusing on the application problems here. Where are we actually going to apply these concepts here in your everyday work? All right, that is going to be the most important thing. That's why I really like teaching this class a lot, because there's a lot of good practicality behind this class. You can take this, what we learned here today, and you can directly apply it to what you're going to be doing here on the job. And that's going to be the most important part here. The more skills you can take in, the more math skills that you can acquire here, the better off you're going to be at the end of the day. All right. So I highly encourage you, please go ahead and ask me questions. Go ahead and, if you're curious about something, please just ask. Remember, this is a benefit for you. This is not a benefit for me. This is a benefit for you. All right, so I want you to get to know the material, and I know math can be very hard, math can be very daunting, but I don't want it to be that way. Ask me any questions that you like. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions here, because at the end of the day, since I know it's going to be used on an everyday basis in some capacity, hey, I want you to know exactly how to work with it, so that way you'll be a better worker at the end of the day. And that's very, very important to me. Remember, one of the goals here in my class is very, very simple. If you walk out of here at the end of 8 weeks knowing more than you walked in with, then I have done my job. Whether it's a very tiny amount or whether it's a lot, that's very important. Okay, as long as we make that the goal, then that's going to be the most important part there at the end of the day. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit more detail once time. Of course, we'll talk about those details there once time goes along, but that's the overall goal of my class. So again, feel free to type things out in the chat. Feel free to ask me questions. I'm always here for you. All right, let's move on to the book here. Now, I have a nice college supplied copy. Now, let me bring this up to the camera here. So here's the book. Now, as for the textbook here, let's go ahead and clarify something here for the textbook. You do not need a physical copy of the textbook, okay? You do not need a physical copy of the textbook. Now, if you want a physical copy of the textbook, I'm going to leave that to your decision, because if you feel like it's more important to flip through pages, that's perfectly fine. If you don't want one, you don't have to have one. I'd like to save you money. All right, you get an electronic copy of the textbook here with the MyMathLab access code. So you already have access to the book there. So if you want a physical copy because you're more comfortable with physical copies, be my guest. Book is rather expensive, so that's why I just kind of want to save you, like, I don't know, how much is this book again? Like 180, 200 bucks. Yeah, it's pretty crazy price. But the the access code's like 110, 115 or $20. So it's you get the online homework and the e-text, much more worth your time at the end of the day. Um, so that's why I kind of encourage, hey, you don't have to necessarily get the textbook, physical copy of the textbook. You can automatically get the copy with the textbook along with the access code that's already with it. Now, you can use a calculator for this class. We have a TID 384 as a graphing calculator, but you can use a basic calculator for this course. There will be some exceptions, though, like the trigonometry part will probably graphing calculator may be a bit easier. In most cases, though, we'll be using, you can use a basic calculator and you shouldn't have too much of a problem with using that. There may be times I may use the graphing calculator, but it'll probably be few and far between in terms of using the function, like super functionality of that graphing calculator. All right, we're going to talk about the MyMathLab access code because I know a lot of people have questions about that. But let's go ahead and take a look at the grade breakdown. Okay, there's 195 points for the homework, 200 points for the exams, and 100 points for the final exam, for a total of 495 points. So simple ABCDEF structure. All right, nothing too crazy going on here. There'll be 2 exams in class. Again, those two exams here will be split up into the half and half. So again, we'll be doing chapters 1 to 5 as for the first exam, and then chapters 6 to 10 for the second exam. I usually give a fair bit of warning before the exams actually come, usually a week ahead of time. Now, seeing this is an 8-week course, they may come up a little bit faster because obviously we're going to have to condense a lot of material down, day by day. But still, at the end of the day, we should be able to finish comfortably without too much trouble. Even though it sounds like a lot, really a lot of some of the sections actually have little to very little material in it. So we'll see how things go along. Now, as for the homework here, all the homework will be posted on my math lab. Each homework assignment is worth 5 points each and due the day of the corresponding test. So the chapters 1 to 5 homework there will be due when the chapter 1 to 5 test is due. Okay, so basically each section is not the same amount of questions. So one section could have 10 questions, one section could have 15 questions. All right. Now, because of that fact, each homework assignment will be scaled to match a 5-point per assignment format for each chapter. So what you exactly put in is what you exactly get out as your grade. So you get an exact point system grade for every assignment. So I take a look at your overall percentage, I multiply that by 195, and you get the exact amount of points. So it isn't like a 0 or 5 kind of system. It's like if you do 50% of the assignment, I'm going to give you exactly 2.5 points for that assignment at the end of the day. And then there'll be a final exam here, which will be due March 13th at 11:59 p.m. All right. The reason why I say 11:59 is because that's basically right before midnight. So uh, we'll talk about more about the final exam once we get closer to that point. Before we move on here, are there any questions that anybody has so far? Any questions so far? Again, if you have no questions, please type no in the chat, and then I can go ahead and move on. I'll be asking that quite often here in the class. So, okay, right. So, okay. Just to let you know, that's that's how I'm like conducting. That's how I usually conduct a lot of classes. Is just basically kind of like that. So nope, nothing at the. Oh, hey, Dr. Dan, buddy, how you doing, buddy? Are you doing good? I hope you are. Just make an account and buy the book. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. Vera, I'm gonna show you something about that. Yo, Carrot, how you doing, buddy? I'll show you how to use my math lab here. I do need to go into a little bit more detail, so that way you get a little bit more comfortable with this, with the new online system. I know a lot of people haven't used my math lab before, and that's perfectly fine. If you haven't used my math lab before, that isn't going. I'm not going to hold that obviously against you. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff here today in regards to my math lab, but I just want to kind of go over some of the parts here, at least the overview for the class before we get there. Okay, let's talk about the online class structure. Obviously, as you can see here, live streaming will be streaming here from 10 o'clock in the morning to 12:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You've all registered for Twitch here, otherwise you wouldn't be responding to me here. Now, as I'll say here before, once this live stream is over, it will be automatically posted to this Twitch account at Professor Chibs, all right, and Prof Chibs, whichever way you want to call it, and it will be put immediately on the video section there, and you can watch the replay immediately after this live stream is over. After 24 hours of this initial live stream, I'll be posting that to my YouTube channel for an archive. All right, so if you want to watch it on there, because the replays here on Twitch will expire after, I believe, 14 or 21 days. So in case if you do miss something and you want to reference something back here that was maybe a few weeks prior, you do have an archive for that on YouTube. Okay, so it is strictly there for just that reason, and no worries. It's pretty straightforward. It's like you can go Prof Chibs on YouTube, and you can look up where those videos are. Um, all right, so a lot of the examples that we're going to show here is shown through the e-text on my math lab. I'll talk about that here in momentarily. Behavioral expectations, you're expected to behave. Attendance. Now, one thing about attendance here, and I'll state this here once again, I know a lot of people work during the daytime, and I know a lot of people are busy doing other things because obviously with the pandemic and everything like that. So, perfectly understandable if you can't make every live stream or you can't make many live streams. That's perfectly fine. That's why I have the replays there just for you. Okay, so that way, you don't have to necessarily come to every live stream there. Um, people who do attend my class tend to do better, okay? But I'm not going to force it upon you at the end of the day. Um, at the end of the day, you're all adults. I'm going to treat you like an adult. And based on that fact, because you are an adult, you and I are equals here on this stream. Because you and I are equals on this stream, hey, guess what? You're going to take responsibility for yourself at the end of the day. So, you know what? I want you to improve. I want you to be better. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to want to help yourself. I can lead a horse to water, I can't make it drink. I want you to be able to want to help yourself. If it takes you watching the replays and stuff, because you're busy during the day doing live streams, that's cool. I'm not gonna be mad about that at all. But if you decide not to watch it at all, the only person that you're hurting is yourself. You're not hurting me, and you're not hurting my feelings. You're basically it all comes down to you. And I want you to be able to want to help yourself. And hey, you say, hey, you know what, Ali, I need your help. You say, Chibs, Ali, I need your help. And I'll be there. Like, hey, perfect. I'll be able to help you. I'll reach your hand out to me. I'll be more than happy to grab it, and I'll be more than happy to help you out when you need it. Okay, that's what I'm here to help you with. I want to help you be better, be a better person, be a better worker, whatever the case may be. That is what I am here to do. So, uh, so we're on the equal as far as I'm concerned. And let's see if we can make you a success down the line. That would be great. So definitely down with that. Academic dishonesty, don't cheat. Let's see here. Okay. Equal opportunity. We're equal opportunity people. Yeah, equal opportunity stuff. All right. ADS. If you have a disability of any kind, I probably did receive an email regarding a disability of some variety. I'll be just send me an email, give me a little reminder, just so I can look back at the emails there because I get like a ton of them. So if you have a disability that you need me to work with, then hey, feel free to bring it to my attention. It shouldn't be that hard to work with. I'm really super easy to work with when it comes to disability accommodations. So I'll work with you about whatever. In terms of like exam time, I'll give you a ton of exam time, and retries, I'll give you retry. It doesn't really matter. I'll work with you as much as I humanly possibly can to help you be a success here in this class. So we could work things out without too much trouble. I can promise you that. Um, there is also online tutoring here, so you could go to the online tutoring stuff. Obviously, nobody's allowed on campus this semester, but yeah, it's online tutoring. And here you can see a tentative schedule for our for I should say spring, not fall, but you get the idea. This is a tentative schedule here um, for the upcoming semester. Again, that's just dependent on our pace. All right, and we'll see how things work out. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much how it'll go. We'll see how things work out. Honestly, it shouldn't be that hard to do. We'll be able to get through things rather quickly. So like I said, it sounds like a lot with 10 chapters. It sounds intimidating. In reality, it's really not super intimidating. I can promise you that. Before I move on here to my math lab, are there any questions about the syllabus? Any questions at all about the syllabus? No. Okay. Nope. All right. Perfect. All right. Perfectly fine. Now, let me answer your question here, Vera, because I didn't really get to chance. Not really. Fair enough. now, now, Vera, I want to answer your question here regarding my math lab because I haven't really addressed that yet. So let's talk about that now. All right. So, first and foremost here, talking about my math lab is you'll need to register for my math lab. Now, to register for my math lab, you can find this on our Blackboard page, and you'll find this underneath the course materials here on Blackboard, or you can reference this video, whichever way you want. This is let me make this a bit bigger here. All right, so this is a document here that talks about our course. Okay, the cost here is not 75 bucks, it's like 100 110. Anyway, you can register here using a credit card or whatever. If you have financial aid, you go to the bookstore. Um, but yeah, it's probably faster you just get the code directly. Yeah, it's like 10, it's 100 times faster you get the code directly. In any case, you have a course ID here, and there you see the course ID here is Malik64315. Now you can find that. Now you get to register through mymathlab.com. Okay. Please be very careful about the username you put in. You only get one shot to put in the username. So if you accidentally spell it wrong, well then you guess what? You'll have to spell it wrong all the time. So that'll be a problem there. Okay. So uh, yeah, I don't know why that was on. Anyway, um, so that's kind of like the thing there. You just put that there. So you'll get to this page here. Now, obviously, I have 3 courses, and that's because the fact that the 3 courses here are the courses that I'm going to be teaching this semester. However, you'll see this on your screen on my Math Lab. You'll see Math 097 Spring 2021. And I'll go ahead and click on this here once you've registered and gotten your access code and used the course ID. What you'll see here on the left is you're going to see e-text here on the left. So you'll see the e-text here on the left. You can go ahead and click on the e-text, and it'll pop up with a. Sorry, I have an add-on on Chrome. Let me make that white all over. All right, there we go. All right, so you can click on the e-text link here, and it'll take you. Hopefully this works out. Oh, that last time. Try that again. Had a slight issue last time with that. Hopefully, second time. There we go. All right. It takes a try or two. It had an issue with me last time, but anyway, um, you'll get a copy of the e-text once you do register here. So it's like saying, all right, you could go to a page here. You could go to page 17, all right, which talks about adding whole numbers and whatnot, and then you can see the stuff here for that particular book. There you go. There it is. Okay, so this is why you don't need to buy a copy of the textbook here. You'll automatically get access to this electronic textbook by default once you go ahead and get your stuff set up. Now, another thing that I do want to acknowledge here is let's also go over here, go back to our thing here, but make this a tad bit bigger. Okay, you can also see here on the left-hand side for assignments. Okay. And I'll be opening up all these assignments here later today. So essentially, all these assignments will be opened up here, and I'll be probably opening up here these tests at some point. So I have these all set up and ready to go. I'll be opening up all the assignments here today. So if you want to work ahead, you can feel free to work ahead. But there you can click on an assignment. So let's click on the assignment here. Actually, let me open up one of these assignments. So I'll show you how I have to do that. I'll just do it right now. Really not hard to do. So then I just change the dates of these assignments, and then I do this thing, and then I can apply to that, and it'll do something. You can tell exactly how hard this is. It's really not hard at all, actually. All right, and then I'll update the changes. Okay. Let me go back to my all right, so you can click on assignments here. All the assignments are open now. Like I said, I'll take care of the tests here. I'll probably modify the test at some point. Uh, I'll click section 1.1. There you can see some links here to the questions. All right. And so the question will pop up here, and there you go. You will need to disable pop-ups or enable pop-ups here. For the access code, is it also 100 and 110? So no, the bookstore here will charge you more, Michelle. They usually charge you like 130, 135, or 140. They usually upcharge like 30% or so, which is why it's even cheaper just to get it yourself. So the bookstore's more expensive because of the markup percentage that they always take off the top. So I'm like, hey, you know what? You could save like 30 bucks if you 20, 30 bucks if you just do it yourself, you know. But I understand if you're getting financial aid, it totally makes sense to go and use the bookstore. So I'm not going to like say, oh, you shouldn't use it at all. I'm just saying if you have a choice between the bookstore or just doing it yourself will make you get registered much faster, number one, and it's much cheaper, number two. So there is definitely that there, Michelle. Hopefully that answers that question there. So um, I always prefer you guys doing it yourself. There you go. Hey, Gomash, how's it going, buddy? Um, so that's kind of like what I'm kind of trying to say. There is like, hey, um, that it'll be your decision at the end of the day, Michelle. I just prefer. I want to save you money. I want to save you time. So I'm not in the interest of just trying to siphon money off of you. Like I don't even see a dime. So it's all good. Now, one of the other things about the homework here that I do want to point out, and I want to point this out here regarding the homework here specifically, is what you have on my math lab is you have unlimited tries per problem. However, it's not unlimited tries for the same problem all the time. Let me go ahead and describe what that means. What that means is that let's say you have this and you're adding these two numbers here together. Now we already know what the answer is. That's really not the important part here. But let's say I just answer it wrong, on purpose, okay? Let's say I just guess, whatever answers here. Now, I can get it wrong, let's say 3 times, okay? So let's say I get this wrong 3 times. Now it's going to show you the correct answer, and it'll show you your answer. Now, you could say, you could go to the next question, or you can hit similar question. Now what similar question will do is it'll just change the numbers and it'll just be the same type of problem. So you hit similar question, and now you got 2 new numbers of which to work with, and then you get to try it again. One other thing about my math lab that is very strange, and one thing that I do want you to keep aware of here is monitoring your progress on my math lab. Now, a lot of times, a lot of people want to keep up with the progress and saying, I've done X percentage of stuff here on my math lab. However, it's a little bit it's a little bit confusing when you first go ahead and take a look at it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I could go to my course home and I could see what percentage that I've effectively done. Now, I've effectively done like one problem from one assignment. The percentage that it will show you here, your average percentage, will only reflect the assignments that you actually have started. So if you have not started an assignment, let's say you got 100% on one of the assignments, it will tell you your average is 100%. But that's not true because you only started one of the assignment out of the many assignments that are available. So you just have to be very careful about that. Michelle, are you in my stats class tomorrow for Elgin, or are you in my Math 97 for today? I just going to ask. Are you in 102 or 120? I'm just going to ask here really quick so that way I can give you the correct answer. Make sure that that's correct, by the way. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, that's correct. You want the yeah, you want the Fundamental of Statistics 5th edition. That's right, Michelle. That's correct. That is the correct one. You have a different access code though, so yeah, I gave you you should have the access code there on the email that I sent you. Or I can give you the not the access code, sorry, the course ID. So you have the course ID there, Michelle, then you should be good to go. Otherwise, I'll just give you the course ID now. The course ID for you for that is going to be Hey Aiken, how are you, my friend? I hope you are well. So the course ID for Math 102 is going to be that for you, Michelle. It should be on the email there, but you should be good to go. Okay. Let me know if you have any issues. And that goes for everybody too. I'm doing very well, Aiken. Thank you. That should go for everybody well. If you're having issues with my math lab, just kind of getting registered and whatnot, please come email me right away so we can get you set up as soon as possible. Now, kind of going back to what I was saying here, if on my math lab, it only reflects the percentage of the assignments that you started, not the total percentage here of everything put together. So you will need to go ahead and open up every assignment here, and then you hit save. Don't forget, you need to save your progress. A lot of people had issues last semester about that. Make sure to save your progress so that way, you know what, your scores are locked in nonetheless. Yes, you do need an access code. You'll need to buy that though online. That you have to buy yourself. So that's the cost part there. You need an access code and a course ID. All right, so it's exactly as it's kind of stated there through the instructions there. All right. So, are there any questions about assignments here on my math lab that you would like me to um, clarify? Any other questions here about my math lab that you'd like me to clarify? I would use it. Does it still do the thing where the answer's right but typed differently counts as wrong? Yeah, it's still. If you've used my math lab before, yeah, my math lab is very particular about that. So again, yes, please be very careful about how you type things. Yeah, it still has that issue. Believe me, that is a gripe a lot of people have. So I'm not discounting that at all, Condor. But that's exactly why I put an unlimited amount of tries per se. That way, you're not super penalized for something that's out of your control. Okay, so I understand that there's drawbacks to the software itself, and that's a very valid reason, okay, to say so. So, and basically acknowledging that, that's why I put unlimited tries as opposed to like a limited amount of tries. Now, yeah, number two, remember what we're doing this class for. We're doing this class to practice, and we're doing this class to learn. I'm not doing this to penalize you, okay? I'm not here to penalize you. You're here to learn something and better yourself. So if you're here to learn something and better yourself, there's no point in me penalizing you by trying to limit the amount of chances that you should get when you're practicing problems for trying to be better later on. Remember what it comes down to at the end of the day. And if I were to kind of go on a if I were to kind of go on a small mini rant here, remember what it comes down to at the end of the day. What you learn off of this class here translates into money later on, because the more skills you got to pay the bills, the more reliant that somebody's going to be on you when you get a job, or at your current job, or a future job that you're going to be doing. That's what it comes down to. The more you know, the more money you're going to be able to use. If you can execute what you know, guess what? People are going to line up at the door and want to hire you. Even in this market, people want people. They want people who are experienced. They want people who know what they're doing and who know what they're talking about. And can execute based off of that. And that's very, very important. And I want to see you guys get there in your field and whatever you want to do. The more knowledge that you have, the much more valuable of a worker that you will be down the line. And so when you sit and think about it, yeah, there's money that you pay for this course, yes, but there's more money that you can make after you're done with this course, even after 8 weeks, that can certainly help you down the line. Don't forget about that. That's something that I would like you to do, and like you to have is I would like you to have more money and more cash in your pocket, where you don't have to worry about, so much about the things that you know worry about your finances and whatnot in in a current tough job market. So very, very important indeed. So I take it seriously because it's a serious for you, because it affects you. But yeah, you got to have some fun along the way too. It's always important. Yeah, look, hey, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. We got to be realistic here. Being realistic, that's important. It's not about me, it's about you. So I'm not going to make it about me. I'm just here to be a facilitator of information. And at the end of the day, if you're, let's say down the line, let's say a few years down the line, you're in a better spot than I am at, then I know that I did my job even further than what I did at the end of the 8 weeks. I'll be very happy. Be very happy that you used me as a stepping stone to be a bigger success. That's going to be great. I'll be very, very happy at the end of the day. Trust me on that. I'll be an extremely happy gentleman. All right. All right. Any other questions regarding my math lab before we move forward? Any more questions? Yeah. Oh, kind of interesting. Let me know if you have questions here. We'll answer them as they go along. Okay. We'll go ahead and move forward here. All right. Okay. All right. So, next. Now, today is more of an unusual day, and that's because this is the first class here of the semester. However, what are most classes are going to look like here in terms of pacing? Most classes in terms of pacing are going to basically be, hey, we're going to set out to do X amount of sections per day. Today is a more of an exception to the rule because of the fact that I want to just bang out chapter one as quickly as possible. But once we're done with chapter one, we can then take a pace here for the rest of the chapters, which is going to be much heavier material here at the end of the day for us to go ahead and focus on. As was mentioned here before, the thing that we're going to be focusing on here, majority wise, let's change this over here. Um, the thing that we're going to focus on here, majority wise, for the most part, is primarily going to focus on the application problems. Application problems are going to be the most important thing for us to look at here as a class. And that's because, as I mentioned here before, those are the most practical type of questions that you could run into. A lot of the times, we're going to be wanting to talk about critical thinking, all right, and be able to know how to apply that in a realistic-ish type of setting. All right, so we're going to take a look at that and see exactly how that will work out. Okay, well, let's go ahead and at least talk about what we're going to discuss here today. All right, and all right. Alex with a resub, man. Thank you so much. Back at it again in the new year of the Duke of Division, Prince of Pi, Master of Multiplication, Teachers of Timetables, and the King of Conversions. Rough chips, everybody. Thanks, Alex. That's super kind of you. Super kind. You're too kind to me. I don't know if I deserve it, but you're too kind. Speaking of which, though, I am, my friend. I am. I am. I hope you are well as well. Thank you so much, my friend. Okay, so today, it's funny you should mention that though. Uh, Today we're doing add, subtract, multiply, and divide in chapter 1, and we'll also talk about order of operations. Okay, now I do want to talk about some of these things here as we'll see exactly how things go along. It's not as hard. It looks like a setup. Yeah, it's a proper one this time, Alex. It's a proper one, an actual real one. I wanted to set this up properly because of a lot of the things that have been going on in this channel. It's been kind of bananas, as you know, the past 3 months. So, yeah, it's a thing, that's for sure. It's a thing. So, I ain't gonna lie. It has been a very big whirlwind over the past 3 months. I ain't gonna lie. All right. Oh my gosh. I did it to myself, though. I'll admit, I did it to myself. Okay. I did it to myself. All right, so we're going to look at section 1.1 here today. We're going to talk about 1.1 here is talking about addition, reading, writing, rounding, adding whole numbers and whatnot. Now, of course, I don't really need to tell you how to really. Well, actually, let me ask this question here. Does anyone need me to go over how to add two numbers? How to add numbers together? So does anybody need me to do that? You can say yes or no. I don't mind. If we do, then we do. We go. But I don't know. This should be pretty straightforward. At least I hope so. Question mark? Question mark? Things. There we go. Much better. Anybody need me to go over that stuff? All right. I'll take that as a no. All right. In any case, what I do want to look at here specifically, however, is I do want to look at here at the application problems that we see here in this particular section. This is going to Condor's like, I don't need to cover this stuff. I remember it from like a bazillion years ago. I'd be like, yeah, I agree. Bazillion years ago. Wholeheartedly agree. Now, let's talk about the crux of this class here. As I mentioned here, a lot of the problems that we're going to be covering is going to reflect entirely upon application type of problems because that's where the majority of the practicality is going to lie. Now, in this case here, we have addition and subtraction. Now, if we're going to be talking about addition, that's not hard. It's just like, okay, hey, you do plus, of course, you do sum, all right? So, of course, in math language, sum or plus or add or whatever, total. I think most of you have heard that before. Now, some of the things that we want to talk about here is let's look at the problem here. Now, the problem that we're going to be doing here, it's not hard, and the point is it's not hard. But I do want to talk about a few things here in these problems. So you'll see exactly what I'm going to be kind of getting at here. So it'll set us up for a lot of things we're talking about here later in the semester. So okay, so let's look at number 7 here, right in the middle of the page. It says 8 individually powered machines in a small production shop have motors using 420, 260, 875, 340, 558, 564, 280, and 310 watts each. What is the total wattage used when the total shop is in operation? The 3 largest motors are running, the 3 smallest motors are running. Okay, now let's just focus on the first part here. The total shop is in operation. So let's say all of them are used. Now, by itself, this problem is really, really simple. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. All right, all you got to do is add these numbers together. All right, that's not really all that hard to figure out. All right, and you can add those together either using a calculator or just doing it by hand, whichever way you feel comfortable with at the end of the day. However, let's talk about why this problem or any one of these problems here on this in this particular section is very, very important. How we're going to view application problems is really kind of I'm not looking at so much as the micro of the problem. I'm looking at the macro of the problem, the big picture perspective here. And the big picture perspective here is that for any kind of application problem, no matter how difficult or how easy it is, all right, we're going to break it down into 2 steps. Step 1 of any application problem is going to be the interpretation of the problem. All right, so how do I know that it's going to be an addition, for example? Well, I know it's addition because I look for the key words. For example, what's the total? Okay, so it says the total wattage used when the total shop is in operation. So it talks about total. So if it talks about a total, we're adding things together. All right. Now, of course, as I mentioned here, that's not hard to figure out. That's very, very easy. But it's these keywords here that we're going to be kind of focusing on here. Now, interpretation, in my estimation, all right, and I kind of go back and forth about this, is 90% of the problem. So 90% of the problem is usually the interpretation. This is what we're going to focus on here for a lot of the problems that we're going to be doing here together here in class. It's all going to come down to interpretation. Why is that? Well, because the fact that is if you don't interpret the problem correctly, you'll get it wrong 100% of the time. So obviously we want to avoid that as much as possible. So in order for us to avoid that, guess what? Hey, let's focus on the interpretation, which is 90% of the problem. Last part of the problem here, of course, is the calculation. And the calculation is the last 10%. So that talks about just adding the numbers together and seeing what we get here at the end of the day, whatever that may be. All right. So what we're going to primarily focus on here is the interpretation followed by the calculation. Now let's talk about some of the tips here. Tips for application problems, or for word problems, I should say. As is mentioned here, first one here is look out for keywords. Okay, so look out for keywords. Very, very important. Got to be on the lookout for keywords there, and we want to see exactly how, exactly what that operation is going to be, such as total in our previous case, you know, i.e., i.e. total. All right, this is an example. All right, now the second part here is going to be very important, and that is context. All right, sometimes in order for us to get word problems correctly, we have to look at the context very carefully. And I mean very carefully. There will be some Hey Connor, how are you, buddy? I'm online. Yeah, it's me. I hope you're well, my friend. I hope you're well. Look at the context of a word problem very, very carefully. Now, in this case here, it's very simple because we got a bunch of machines running at a certain wattage, and then we just add up the number of watts. But you'll see in a lot of these problems here in the textbook, context is going to be very important because it basically determines which direction we have to take the interpretation in order to do that particular calculation later on. So this is very, very key here. Context is going to be very important. Make sure you have the correct units. All right. Units here are going to be. Oh man, I'm so sorry, bro. I hope you feel. I hope nothing bad for those COVID results. Okay. I don't wish COVID on anybody. So that's some rough stuff. Feel better. Okay. Um, So make sure you have the correct units. We'll be talking more about units later on, but well, we're going to be converting units in chapter 5. So, of course, since we'll be converting units in some form or fashion, guess what? You know what? At least putting it in the correct units is going to be very, very important. So, obviously, for these beginning problems, they're going to be pretty straightforward because they're all going to be pretty much in the same type of units. But you too, Connor. Feel better, all right? I'm behind you, all right? Need to talk? Let me know. All right. But we're going to see here about making sure we have the correct units. All right. We're going to see some problems here which force you to change units in order to solve the particular problem. So we're going to take a look at that. This next tip here may not make a whole lot of sense, but you'll notice here on several problems that it's going to be the case in some of these word problems or application style type of problems is not all numbers are relevant. Okay. And this is kind of like one of those things that people kind of have to kind of get used to in some of these problems that not every single problem, not every single number in every single problem is needs to be fit in to the final answer or fit into the calculation to get the final answer. Let me give you a case in point, and it's exactly here on this page. Let's go to the very next question after that, another automotive trades kind of question. So it says a mechanic is taking inventory of oil on stock. He has 24 quarts of 10W30, 8 quarts of 30W, 20 quarts of 20W50, and 16 quarts of 10W40, and 20W40 for 21 quarts. How many total quarts does he have in stock? Now here's the thing, right? Do I really care about the type of oil you have? Does 10W30, it has numbers in it, but does this really factor in to the final answer? Does this factor into my calculation whatsoever? The answer is no. Who cares what type of oil it is? All I care about is how many quarts of oil I have at the end of the day. And I just have to add up the number of quarts of oil I have, and that's not too hard. But you'll notice that some of these problems here will throw you these curveballs and be like, hey, what does it matter if I have 20W50 oil? It doesn't matter. So you just need to be a little careful there. You don't get caught up in the details saying every number's got to fit in one particular box in order to actually find the final answer. That's not necessarily true. You need to be very, very careful and understand that not every number in a problem is necessarily relevant for what you want to find at the end of the day. So we want to be able to read these problems here carefully, and we want to be able to determine, is this going to be worthwhile to use or is it not? Guess what? In this case for number 8, for example, it's not. Who cares? It doesn't really matter at all. So you'll see that quite often in several word problems. And once we look at some of those tougher ones, we'll see exactly why that is the case. Okay? All right. And then finally, read every problem carefully. Now, I shouldn't have to really tell you this too much, but I will tell you this once again is to read the problem very carefully because sometimes the way things are worded, it sounds like one way but in reality it's another because of the way something is worded in an application or critical thinking type of problem. The same thing as real life, circumstances can change in a particular problem that you may be dealing with at work or at home, and then suddenly, just basically based on one word or one situation changing, the whole thing flips on itself and you have to You have to figure out how to work with that circumstance instead of the previous one. That can easily happen. So again, wording makes a big difference here, and it works the same as if circumstances had changed, and your approach has to change as a result because of how things are worded at the end of the day. So I just want to point that out there. Be like, hey, we're going to see how that's going to work out there. It's not too hard, but you get the general gist. Okay, now, again, as you can see here, if you take a look at number 14, this is where a context problem would come into play because if we have formulas here, for example, formulas have context for each one of these letters that we see here. So each one of these letters or variables have a particular meaning that goes along with them. That's where the context part would actually play in. Like I said, I know seems like we're spending a lot of time on this one section, but again, a lot of this stuff we're going to be seeing later on in tougher material, not just like plus, minus, times, and divide. All right. Are there any questions about that? No? Okay, great. Okay, so really quick here, if we add up these numbers here together, let me go back to number 7. I never did get to do number 7, so apologies about that. But number 7 here, we just add up these things together. Let me get my calculator. Again, feel free to use your calculator here for this course. I have no qualms with you using a calculator there. It's perfectly fine. So bring out my, let's see. All right, let me bring out my handy dandy paint tool here. This time, by the way, I actually have like two nice screens this time. I have two bigger screens, Dan. Okay, I have two bigger screens now. I can do more. Just saying. I did smart things over the winter break, okay? Smart things. 340, 558, 564, 280, and 310. All right, and you can enter this into the calculator or just write it out, whichever way you want. It doesn't really matter. And does anybody got an answer for me here? Probably figured it out before I did because I was writing stuff down. But anybody got an answer for me? What did I get? Let's see. I got 3,607 watts. So I got 3607 watts is what I got for my answer there. All right. So not too hard. There you go. Dimple dimple. Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. Nope. All right. Let's move on. All right. Let's move on here to subtraction. That's section 1.2. All right. So again, a lot of what I'm talking about here today is not going to be like mind breaking. Trust me on that. We'll take a look at other concepts here later on that may be slightly a bit mind breaking, but hey, that's part of the deal. All right. So section 1.2 is subtraction. All right. So subtraction. There's nothing going on here. All right, it's subtraction. All right, it does things. All right, like the cost of something or whatever. Okay, no big deal. Let's take a look here at a couple of examples though. Um, really quick examples, and then we'll move on to the next part here. So again, keywords here. Let's just type that out here. Keywords for subtraction is a subtract, minus, less. Okay, so like 5 less to or 2 less than 5 or whatever. All right, so you can probably guess that really isn't too hard to figure out. All right, oops, I wanted to go. Let's go to page 29. Again, if you don't have the book here today, that's not a big deal. A lot of this stuff here is pretty. Oh, I meant. There we go. All right. Some of the questions here that we're going to be seeing here later on have stuff to do with, say, trades drawings, okay, schematics or prints. Okay, so if we took a look at, let's take a good look at letter A. All right, so they have a dimension here on this particular drawing, and we have to figure out what the length L is going to be here for letter A. So can anybody tell me what is length L here? What is length L here? Here we have 3, and here we have 5. Hey, Jones, 9. That's correct. Right. So we have 17 minus the 5 minus the 3. That is absolutely spot on there. That is correct. So 9 inches is absolutely right. All right. So that is, as you can tell there, it's like, wow, that's really easy. But like, yeah, it's really not that hard. It's 17 minus 5 minus 3, and here you get 9 inches. Okay. So bada bing, bada boom, winner, winner, chicken the dinner. All right. So not too hard. All right. Let's look at one more here. Let's see here. All right. So let's do number 10. A truck is loaded with actually no, that's fine. A truck is loaded with rocks weighing 14,260 pounds. The truck weighs 8,420 pounds. How much do the rocks weigh? What's the answer to this one, number 10? 5840. Okay, very simple. That's right. Do 14,260 minus 8,420. So one of the big keys here in these problems is just going to come down to, let's put 5840. All right. One of the big keys here is just setting up the problem with the correct numbers, doing that calculation, and then getting your correct answer at the end of the day. All right. So again, remember a lot of this class here is going to revolve around is basically going to be understanding how we get to the destination is the journey as opposed to the destination, the best way to put it. So we're going to talk about this here. Obviously, here today, what we're talking about here is super simple stuff. It's really not anything that's going to blow you away. I think most people are pretty comfortable with that fact, but you get the general gist. It isn't that tough. All right. Questions about subtraction. If there are no questions about subtraction, we'll go ahead and move forward. All right, we'll go ahead and move forward. Like I said, today is pretty basic stuff here. Like I'm not gonna spend like a ton of time on a lot of this stuff here, but with exception to a couple things in chapter one, that's worth mentioning. Um, okay, section 1.3 is multiplication. As we know, keywords here are going to be, say, product, times, multiply. Okay, so those things essentially, pretty common keywords there. Let's go ahead and take a look here at some problems, maybe a problem or two. All right, so okay, let's look at number 13. If a machine produces 16 screws per minute, how many screws will it produce in 24 hours? Okay, so let's look at 13 here. Machine produces 16 screws per minute. How much will it produce in 24 hours? What do you guys think? What's the answer to that question there? What do you guys think? Like number 13. 1,382,400 screws. Okay, so how'd you get that answer? Tell me how you got that answer, Condor. That's fine. Take your time. No rush, no worries. Tell me what you 60 minutes in an hour. That's correct, Condor. I think I know how you got that answer. I think you added one too many 60s. I think that was the issue. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you had 16, it's 16 screws per minute, so it's 16 times 60 times 24. So as I was mentioned here earlier, you got to be careful about the wording there, so you're not, overcompensating or undercompensating. As you can see there, it looks simple. You could do 16 times 24, but then you look at it, it says, oh no, it says per minute as opposed to saying per hour. And so then you just go ahead and multiply it like that instead. And we get 23,040. Okay. And that's correct. That's correct, Condor. So you can see how things work out. Okay, it's not too hard, but again, you just have to be very careful about the wording here. And this is kind of like what I was kind of saying back in the first section, where that actually does make a significant difference because of that one little extra word. It suddenly makes everything change just because of that per minute as opposed to per second. So yeah, that's kind of a big deal when you kind of think about it that way. How about number 9? 5 bolts are needed to mount a tire. How many bolts are needed to mount all 4 tires in 60 cars? What's that going to be? 1200, that's correct. Very good. So you have 5 bolts times 4 times 60 cars overall. That's correct. And that is indeed equal to 1200. Absolutely correct, everybody. Very nicely done. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So you can see there it's not crazy, but there you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right. All right, questions about that? We'll move on to division here, but any questions about that? Nope. All right, let's move forward. Okay. It's starting to churn, isn't it, Condor? It's starting to churn them brain cells. I'm telling you, man. Some of those brain cells starting to churn. I think that's okay though. I think that's okay. If you're getting used to it, you're getting used to it. That's good. It's going to take a little time to kind of getting you back into the swing of things, but hopefully after a couple weeks or so, it's not going to be too bad. Beginning part here in chapter 1 is kind of going to ease you into the process a little bit, and then we get to chapter 2 and 3 where we start to get into a little bit more nitpicky details. But yeah, I think it's just, as I like to say, you kind of shake it out the cobwebs a little bit from maybe not using math in so long, which is perfectly understandable. Or maybe you had a tough time with math. That's perfectly understandable too. So, like I said, I'm not here to make light of the situation. I'm just be like, hey, let's see what we can do to cover what we've missed from a long time ago. All right. Next is division. It's been a few years since I've been in school. Yeah, right. Yeah, technically, I haven't been a student in school in a long time myself. So even though I'm a teacher, I go to school all the time or I teach school. When you're on the other side of things, it's like so different. It's so different. All right. Keywords for division. Quotient, divide. All right. Parts. Per. You could say per. Per is another one. Okay. In any case, let's take a look at some. Let's take a look at some. Couple of maybe a question or two, and then we'll forward here. All right. Here we are. So let's take a good look here at the first one, number 1. A machinist has a piece of bar stock 243 inches long. If she must cut 9 equal pieces, what is the length per piece? Assume no waste to get a first approximation. Okay, so in this case here, we need to go ahead and cut 9 equal pieces. So from a 243-inch long piece of bar stock. All right. So fairly straightforward here. We're just going to take 243 and then we're going to divide that by, let's see, how many pieces? 9? Okay. And anybody tell me here 243 divided by 9? 27 inches. Spot on, my dude. All right. Very good. Excelente. Yeah, so we're going to just take 27 inches, 27 inches per piece there. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, let's take a look at one more here. Actually, oh, yeah. Actually, actually, we'll take a look at a couple more. Let's look at number 8. What is the average horsepower of 6 engines having the following horsepower ratings? And to find the average, add the 6 numbers and divide their sum by 6. They pretty much tell you how to find the average here, and this is going to be this kind of like the first one of the first problems here that we do kind of a multi-step process. So as opposed to just doing straight up division, they ask us to find average, which isn't too hard. But again, we add up the numbers here and divide by 6. So that is what we're going to be doing here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Go ahead and put this on the screen here. There we go. All right. Now, one of the things that you'll have to be careful about here is if you plan to use a calculator, say the graphing calculator or whatnot, you do need to be very careful about how you enter things into the calculator. And this is strictly because of the fact that it does do order of operations on the calculator. So that's why I put parentheses around what we're adding there first. And then I want to take that answer and divide it by 6. So that's what I'm going to kind of do there here if you kind of want to enter it in all at once. I don't always recommend to entering in things all at once on a graphing calculator because it could make things more confusing for what you wanted at the end of the day. If you can work with it, great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if not, that's okay. So what I get here is I get 373. Okay, so if you get 373 for this, where it was this horsepower in this case, for the horsepower ratings, then there you go. That's how you end up with that. No problem. Simple enough. All right. So that's about some simple division there. Yeah, I think that's fine. Any questions about division and stuff? Again, it's not like it's definitely not too hard. It's just like there you go. There we are. Nope. All right. Good stuff. Okay. Now let's go to the last part here for today. You're probably saying, wow, that was really fast. They'd be like, yeah, that's kind of true. But let's talk about the last part here. All right. Just hopefully this will, again, a lot of today is just shaking out them cobwebs. So that's not a problem. So section 1.5 is talking about order of operations. Alex Ford, how you doing, my dude? I hope you are doing good today. Are you doing well? I hope you're gonna answer this question for me. Let's uh let's see if you guys can answer this question for me, all right? Let's see if this happens, all right? You good? Okay, that's good. So let's do this question here. 6. All right. So, can anybody tell me what's the answer to this question that you see here on the screen? In the first year of secondary, hey, if you're 13, it don't matter to me. I thought we're chill, buddy. We're chill. Oh, look at that. Look at that. One person says 9 and one person says 1. Ooh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That's interesting. It is PEMDAS, I agree. Hmm. I agree. One of those two is the correct answer. It is either 9 or it's 1. 6 divided by 2 times 3 is either 9 or 1. Alex, if you're there, can you tell me what you think it is? Wonder if Alex is still there. I'm actually kind of curious. Ah, the evil person in me. I have to be evil. It's important. All right. Well, I don't know if Alex is in the chat, but still, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and put in the correct answer. The correct answer is going to be 9. 9 is the correct answer. Now, I'm going to make a contention here and be like, well, hang on a second. Vera said that you have to use PEMDAS, and I agree with that. Okay, so I agree. However, the answer is not 1. You're probably saying, well, wait. So, Vera, you're kind of half right. The Condor was right, it was 9, but you're half right about the justification. Let me show you why. So let's talk about what PEMDAS is, right? We kind of know what this is, right? So let's go over this carefully here. P, what does P stand for once again? Let's just go over the basics here. Just hopefully you guys maybe remember. What did P stand for here? Parentheses, okay? So that's fair. All right, so parentheses, no problem. Okay, totally agree. Fine. What about E? About E? What did E stand for again? Exponents, okay, that's right. So we'll talk about exponents here later in the textbook, but yes, absolutely 100% true. 100% absolutely spot on. Okay, now the next part here is M and D. M and D, as you probably already know, is multiply and divide. However, I want to show you the difference here in this case. I'm going to write this a little differently than maybe what you're used to. All right. M and D, I'm going to put here on the same line. So, and A and S for add and subtract. So let me put this into perspective. Why is this 9 as opposed to not why is this 9 instead of 1? Right? Cuz that's really the key. You're like saying, "Well, wait a second. Why did you write it that way?" Well, if I had this, let's say I changed it from division and multiplication to 6 minus 2 plus 3. Well, if I had 6 minus 2 plus 3, wouldn't you just go from left to right for addition subtraction? You'd just be like 6 minus 2 is 4 plus 3 is 7. And then that's what you would get for your answer, right? That seems very fair, okay? You just go from left to right and you get 7 straight up. Well, that's correct, Condor. You basically do the same thing with multiplication division because multiplication and division are the same exact rank, okay? Right? So they're the same exact rank. And because they're the same exact rank like addition and subtraction, you just exactly work from left to right. So when you look at a problem like this that has no parentheses or anything like that to give you any guidance, you just work it the same way you would if it was add and subtract. You just go from left to right. So you do 6 divided by 2, which is 3, and then multiply by 3, which is 9. So one of the things that you're taught in school, like maybe way back when, is that multiply became before divide. When in reality, that was actually the wrong way to actually approach that. It actually is that multiply and divide are the same rank, and because multiply and divide are the same rank, then you should actually approach it the same way as add and subtract. So, you see M come before D, but in reality, you're actually not doing anything different as you would attack add and subtract underneath order of operations. So this is kind of like one of the first things, the worst kind of misconception that I want to clear up here. So that way it's like, oh yeah, okay, that we want to get rid of those bad habits, those things that you heard from back in the past. Some of those things are not true, like this. Okay, this is definitely one of those things. I've seen a lot of people fall into this trap quite often, and so I don't want you to feel bad or nothing, because that's one of those things that you may have learned quite a while ago, and you thought that was always true, but in reality, the way you actually approach this is you actually approach this from left to right, straight up. So, uh, want to just at least point that out there for people who are watching this replay, or for you guys who are in the chat. This is one of those things that certainly does make a very large difference at the end of the day. Um, okay, well, let's take a look at some problems here using these order of operations outside of just this stuff, and we'll see how we'll work with it. Simple enough. Let's do it. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. All right, and again, we want to be able to set up number 4. All right, and let's see what we get. All right, so number 4 says, at the beginning of the day on Monday, the parts department has on hand 520 spark plugs. Mechanics in the service department estimate they'll need about 48 plugs per day. A new shipment of 300 will arrive on Thursday. All right, we want to find the number of spark plugs that we have on hand at the end of the day on Friday. All right. So, what could we do here for number 4? What could we do here for number 4 in this case? How can we figure out how many spark plugs that we're going to have at the end of the week? What do you think we could do? There we go. 520 plugs times 5 days to start. Uh, okay. So we're using 48 plugs per day, so we can take 520. We can subtract that by 48 times 5. All right, that's fair. So what do we get here? We get 520. Let's see, 48 times 5 is 220. Oh, no, wait, 220, 240, pardon me. All right. Then we can also add in the 300 that will arrive on Thursday. So we're going to first subtract this and we get 280. Then we add the other 300. So here we get 580 spark plugs. All right. You can see here it's not too hard. There it is, 580. Simple enough. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Hey, thanks, Luna. Appreciate you. All right, let's try one more problem for order of operations. Let's see how things will go here. All right, let's try this one, number 8. We'll probably see this problem again later on down the line in another form or fashion, but that's fine. Let's try number 8. A caterer must estimate the amount and cost of strawberries required for an anniversary dinner involving 200 guests. She estimates that she'll need about 6 strawberries per person for decorations and cocktails, and about 10 strawberries per person for the dessert. A local farmer sells strawberries in flats containing 80 strawberries each for $7 per flat. How many flats will she need, and how much should she expect to pay for the strawberries? Okay, so they have 200 guests. There's 6 strawberries for the decorations and 10 per person for the dessert. So in this case here, it looks like we need 16 strawberries per person overall. All right. So let's take a good look here at this one. So we need 16 strawberries per person here. So let's do that. We have 200 guests, so we're going to multiply that by 200 guests for this anniversary dinner. So that's going to net us 3,200 strawberries is what we need here overall. Now each flat of strawberries is going to contain 80 strawberries. So we need to divide this by 80. And so here we're going to get 40. We need 40 flats. Each flat, as we can see here, is going to cost us $7. So we're going to take 40 and we're going to multiply this by $7 for each flat that we need to buy. We need to buy a ton of strawberries. I mean, man, that's a lot of strawberries. So 40 times 7 here, if we put it together, will be our final answer here of $280. So that's our final cost here at the end of the day, is $280. All right. Castro, thanks for the follow, my friend. Appreciate you. All right. Any questions about that? No, hopefully very straightforward. So, as I mentioned here, hopefully pretty easy to start with, but if not, that's okay. Some practice to start getting things over and then getting things going. Okay. Again, I want you to be able to kind of start putting things together. And again, you can see exactly how things work out. All right. It shouldn't be too bad. So, that's fine. That's okay. So that is pretty much the end of chapter 1. As you see, chapter 1 goes by rather quick. Again, there's not a whole lot in chapter 1 in terms of actual material outside of just the basics here. But I like to do chapter 1 right away because then that will afford us a lot more time when we get closer to the end when we have to deal with tougher questions. So the less we spend on, like, I love the fundamentals and I love the basics. Trust me. Add plus, plus minus times divide, super important, absolutely. But I figure by now you guys, you don't want me to beat a dead horse in terms of the material. So that would be that wouldn't be that'd be kind of killing time. So I want to focus on the material that's going to be, I think, would be noticeably tougher for you guys, and that maybe you'll have a lot more, many more questions regarding that, during the stream or outside of stream. Um, so what we're going to be doing here for next time on Tuesday is we're going to be focusing on um, doing fractions. That's chapter 2. Chapter 2 is focusing on fractions. I know not many people like fractions, and people say fractions smell. I'd be like, yeah, fractions do kind of smell, but yeah, that's what we're going to be doing here on Thursday. Okay, so on Thursday we're going to be starting here with chapter 2 and knocking knocking a little bit of chapter 2 out here. So if we're going to go over questions here, then again, you can ask questions and whatnot. Feel free to email me and whatnot in the meantime. Also, if you haven't signed up for my math lab, please go ahead and do so. If you're having issues with my math lab, please bring it to my attention and I'll try and work things out as best as possible. Okay, so I want to be able to just make sure that you guys are squared away. That way it's not too bad. So that's very important to me, is like you guys are kind of on the same page as I am. So I want to be sure that you guys know where we're going. So are there any more questions from you guys? Any more questions before we head out for the day? No? Okay. Well, again, please go ahead and sign up for my math lab. Dexton, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Um, no, thank you very much, everybody. I want to sit here. I want to thank you so much for coming on out here today. You guys are super super kind for wanting to show up for this first stream here for 097. Again, I'm going to definitely be around. Besides the assignments on my math lab, okay. Um, yeah, so feel free to start. Oh, no. The only things that count for points are the assignments on my math lab, Vera. So be sure to sign up for my math lab or get registered if you haven't done so already. And then you can go ahead and get started since the assignments are now officially open. So you saw me open up the assignments right then and there. Well, guess what? You can go ahead and start working on those right away and, kind of start working ahead as you feel, as you please. So, if you want to work on just getting done with chapter 1, some people, like for example last semester, opted to just go with the pace of the course. Some people just wanted to work ahead and some people want to work at their own pace. Whatever you like to do, I want to make sure that it's a comfortable process for you so it works within your schedule without having to be overbearing. So, you'll set aside some time, you'll do the homework, and then once you're done with that, you can feel free to move ahead or just move at the same pace as the lectures that are coming out. Just as a friendly reminder here, remember that immediately following this live stream, the replay will be immediately available online here on my Twitch channel, all right, which will be posted for like 14 to 21 days. And then I'll be archiving this live stream here tomorrow after 24 hours onto YouTube. So, should you want to come back and look at this very first day of the semester again about whatever, you can go ahead and reference that after 24 hours on YouTube. So, again, you have it available right away here on Twitch, or again after 24 hours on YouTube. whichever approach you find more comfortable. If you want to watch the replay, please feel free to do so. No problem whatsoever. I'm here to help you as much as I humanly possibly can. So again, please feel free to ask me any questions at any time. All right, I'm always here to reach out a hand and help. All right, and I want to be sure that you guys are taken care of for the next 8 weeks. All right, back to this. Okay, and so that'll wrap it up here for today. Thank you all very much here once again for coming out here to the stream. You guys are awesome. I love you guys very much. You guys are what make this super fun and enjoyable. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say that a lot of times. I love doing this job. This is one of the things that I really like having a lot of fun and a lot of passion doing. And I hope that you can enjoy the ride with me here for the next 8 weeks. And trust me, it'll be loads of fun. So certainly, I'm sure we're gonna. Certainly, there's some things that you're gonna find out through the power of math that that can certainly shock you. Hopefully, you'll learn a whole lot more along the way. All right, I want to thank you all here again. Uh, please, everybody, take care of yourself. All right, and we will come back here on Thursday, same time, same place. All right. Hey, thanks, Condor. I'm glad you really like this format. I know that maybe you were skeptical at first. I think a lot of people are. But I find this to be a lot more interactive, but at the same time, a lot more relaxing. You don't need to be on camera all the time with me. If you want to, that's fine. But you could just be sit and chill, and you could listen to me talk and talk about math or ask me questions at any time. I'm here to help you whenever you want. All right. So nothing's gonna be changing. Trust me on that front. That's for sure. All right. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Everybody, have yourself a very, very wonderful day. All right. Please take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in a couple of days. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Take care. All right. Bye.